my parents moved to Iowa, to Winterset, Iowa, and built a home on some property up there. And so we were just visiting for the weekend. And we had taken the kids out of school. Or no, we just didn't send them to school on Friday. So to have like a longer weekend with my family. So we went up Friday morning and got there. It's about 3 hours away from my house. So got there and hung out and played in the woods and did a bunch of fun stuff and played games that night and cooked dinner together. And then the next day is when it happened. We woken up and I woke up my mom early. I'm like, you're going to do a workout with me and then we'll have breakfast. So we did that. And then my mom and I were playing a board game at the table and it had been raining off and on. And our plan was to go see the alpacas and feed them. And the kids like to do that. So we found a break in the rain, went and fed the alpacas, stopped by the grocery store on the way home, and it was just pouring. It was raining so hard, but there weren't any bad weather warnings at that time. It was just a storm. And the weird thing is before we left the alpaca farm, I had this really strong feeling that I wanted to go to Des Moines and see my aunt's new home. Everybody else was just no, let's go back to the house. Let's make food. Let's play games. Let's hang out. And so we did that. And on the way back, Mike was joking, but kind of serious. He was like, let's stop and have margaritas and then we'll go back to the house after. And I was like, well, they have Brysen, so we need to get back to the house. So we went back to the house. And I really don't think we were there that long before we gained the knowledge of the fact that there could be severe weather. So my mom, being a very prepared person, she was like, well, let's find a spot in the house that we can all go in case we need to. So there were a couple spots that we thought, and we thought the smartest place would be under the huge staircase right in the middle of their house that went from the main floor to the upstairs. And we're under that staircase, it's a very strong staircase, that's going to be the safest place. And I remember there's parts of it that come to me over time that I didn't remember before, just talking about it. I remember there being a bunch of big cardboard boxes of china because they had just built the house, so they hadn't put everything where it needed to go yet. And at one point, my mom and I were throwing these boxes of her nice china because she's like, I think this is going to be bad. And we're pushing the kids to get further under the stairs so that they're in a safer spot than we are. And I had this blanket that I kind of just threw over everybody just in case anything. I had no knowledge that it was going to be that big of a tornado. I think if it were a smaller one, what we had done would have been enough. But then Mike and my stepdad were just outside the pantry and you could see all their windows. And Mike yelled, oh my God, there's a tornado. And so then I guess at that point he jumped into the pantry. Later on, my stepdad said he saw the windows and the wall just come at him and he jumped in the pantry. And then it was just a huge amount of pressure in my ears. I didn't hear any noises at all. It was just when you're in an airplane and your ears are just full, but times 10. And it just kept getting stronger and stronger. And then I just felt us shift multiple times. And then when we were done moving, my first thought was, oh my God, I am fully aware of what's going on. And I'm going to die like this. And I noticed Kinley, it was her head was in my lap. We were down in a hole. I have pictures of the hole I can show you that they cut us all out of. But I guess we were all pretty close to each other. And somehow Brysen was underneath all of us, but back closer to where we'd taken cover. And the staircase kind of saved him. So I noticed Kinley in my lap, and I tried with my one hand that I had, because my left arm was trapped, tried to pull her up, and I couldn't, and she wasn't moving or making any noise at all. Her face was away from me, so I just, rubbed her head. And then Owen was just beyond my reach, but he was facing me. And you could see that his eyes were shut and his lip was cut. His upper lip was cut. And he wasn't moving or making any noise at all. So I thought he was gone. And then my little brother Seth was just to the right of me. And he was sitting like crisscross still. That's how he was when we were in the pantry, and that's how he remained. And actually just a couple of days ago, Brysen told me that he felt a lot of wind behind him, and he grabbed onto Seth's leg and just held on. And then he said he felt something hit him in the head. And then when he woke up, he felt like on the ground, he said, and his legs were cold. So I don't know exactly like where he was. Like I was out of there before he was able to get out. But then Mike was crying and fully conscious, knew that he was going to die. So that's something hard to think about. But I could tell by his voice like that he was right when he said that. So I just let him know how much I love him, and that's all I could have done. Then my mom, she was behind me. Like her chest was on my back and her left arm was over my left shoulder with her phone in it. So her phone was like right in front of me. And she said, use my phone and call 911. So I took her phone and I had to use my nose to call because that's the only hand I had. And I remembered her password, but I called 44 times before I got to somebody. And the only reason I was able to get to somebody is my stepdad told me to turn off the Wi-Fi. I had no idea that was a thing. Like that's a very helpful thing if you're out somewhere and you can't get a call through. If you turn your Wi-Fi off, a lot of times you will be able to. So that's knowledge that I want a lot of people to know, you know. So I called. I actually listened to the audio of the call earlier today. It was hard to hear, but I've like listened to everything I could listen to and watched everything I could watch because I don't want to have like something in the back of my mind like, I don't know. I don't want to have questions. I want answers. So as hard as it is to listen and see certain things, like, I don't know, it kind of helps at the same time.